Something I liked a lot more though was a week ago, Death Cab for Cutie released their ninth album. Thank You for Today. Ben Gibbard, known famously for Death Cab for Cutie, also for Postal Service back in the early 2000s. Really talented musician, but the band's kind of fallen off a bit since I don't know, last like 10 years or so. This decade really hasn't been good to Death Cab. Obviously, like Transcendentalism and some of their other records from the early 2000s Transatlanticism, sorry, are very famous and very well known, and people really ride with those songs. But bands kind of lost some of their luster. Thank You for Today, though. Some of the singles were encouraging. Dave, what was your take on the singles and then just the album in general?
Oh yeah, so I thought this was much easier to listen to just because it's an album that doesn't demand anything from you. You know,
Right.
it's very unoffensive, very undemanding, very fluffy, very inessential. You know, it's you get out of it what you put into it, I guess, right? Like it doesn't ask much as you as a listener. So I thought it was, really, really easy, breezy listen. Much more enjoyable than Interpol for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's actually that's a plus for Death Cab. That's easier to listen to, but I think that actually almost in a way underscores the actual talent that this band has. After King Segui, which was their last album, came out, people were kind of worried about them because Chris Walla, their longtime bandmate and producer, had left the band, and it was noticeable that the album just kind of fell flat and that there wasn't really a lot behind it. And especially because Ben Gibbard was like, we're gonna remake the band and we're gonna try different things, and then it kind of came out and seemed very uninspired. I think there's a lot more in this, and they take a lot more chances. Like even Gold Rush, like a song like kind of a different sounding Death Cab for Cutie single. It has like a twang to it, almost like a countryist type noise in the background. That's I think makes it really interesting. I also found like Autumn Love, their second single, to be a pretty interesting song, like the way that the chorus kind of builds up with like the guitars kind of right before it. And then I don't know, I think Your Hurricane is probably my favorite song on the album. It sounds kind of like classic Death Cab, which I'm talking about all these changes that they made, but I think when they can hit that sweet spot of what Death Cab used to be on something like Transatlanticism, this is Your Hurricane is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, no, I think it's my problem with a lot of indie rock is when it's too self-serious, and this is not that. It wasn't as ambitious as the earlier records, but given the run they've been on, that's probably a good soft reboot for the band, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, and it's gotten more positive reviews in their more recent work, so it's definitely a good direction for them. What, just out of curiosity, what'd you make of that last song, 60 and Punk?
What do you mean?
So it hasn't come out who Ben Gibbard is writing this in reference to. He's obviously talking about some star. I'm not really asking who you think it's about, but it's about him looking back at this, like rock star, and kind of like the line that hits things home in it is like, were you happier when you were poor? And a lot of people are thinking maybe Ben Gibbard is kind of looking at this, and that's like a introspective look at his career and where he's at. What was your take on the song, or did you really not catch it?
No, you're right to me. No, I think that's actually pretty cool. It's it's taking a stab at something. So
yeah,
at the very worst, even if it doesn't like jump out at me sonically like anything else did, I think that's still cool lyrics.
Definitely. Give this record a listen. I recommend it. It's not going to be anyone's best of list, I wouldn't think, but there's a lot there to like. Another song I just wanted to shout out, When We Drive, was probably the lowest point because that might be the most boring song I've ever heard. I'm not even kidding. That song was just nothingness, just gross. So skip over that one, but listen to the rest. Definitely a lot there.